Hi, I'm Dr. Cindy Todd. I'm the president of the Michigan Art Education Association. I've been asked to explain to you why the arts belong in K-12 education. For the next few minutes, I'm going to review the facts as we know them so that you understand why the arts are not an option. They are a necessity. Now, the field of neuroscience has done tremendous research into how the brain learns and functions. Scientists have discovered that parts of your brain perform very specific tasks. There are portions of your brain that perform very linear and sequential tasks. This portion of your brain remembers dates. It houses written and spoken language. It solves difficult math problems. We spend a great deal of our academic time in schools working on this portion of our brain. We exercise it vigorously with math, science, English, social studies, reading. All of those activities boost the power on those linear sequential portions of the brain. However, there's a significant part of your brain that doesn't do any of these tasks at all, that no amount of academic content will exercise this portion of your brain. This is the creative side. This is the portion of your brain that does things like spatial relationships. It's the part of your brain that invents new things. It's the part of your brain that sees the big picture. That portion of your brain needs entirely different tasks, and those tasks are not the primary function of your academic classroom. They are, however, the primary function of the arts classroom. Imagine if we exercised our bodies the way we do our brains in school, this is the way it would look, okay? Math, science, English, social studies, reading, art, okay. Math, science, English, social studies, reading, art. You know what? My left side is so way strong that I don't hardly even bother pumping up my right because I can do it all with my left, you know? Would we really consider this? It's absurd. Yet we do it every single day in education and we wonder why we're failing. What's true for the science of the body is also true for the brain. If we don't use it, we lose it. Our brain measurably atrophies when it's not being exercised. We can't move forward if we choose to leave behind half of our potential. The field of neuroscience, as reported by Eric Jensen, has determined that there are 6 things that build a better brain. These things actually grow dendrites, and we measure those with IQ. They are genetics. You're never going to go beyond the cap that you were born with. Nutrition. You are what you eat. Exercise. If you exercise for 1 hour a day, you will far outtest yourself. Feedback, that moment after you've told a child something about their work and they go back at it, is the moment they learn the very, very most. Love, believe it or not, if a child doesn't feel loved and accepted, they will not learn. And the last one, the arts. The arts, not math, science, English, but the arts actually build IQ. Analysts predicting the future agree that our creative portion of our brain is imperative for our future. The 21st century skills have 4 tenets. One is completely centered on the primary functions of the art room. It includes creativity, innovation, critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, and communication. Now, these may be learned in the other subjects, but they are not the primary function of those classrooms. These are the primary focus in the art room. Another tenet of the 21st century skills is heavily focused on technology. Keynote speaker Dr. Jason Oler announced at the McCall Conference for Technology that if a child cannot do this, she cannot do this, which makes her functionally illiterate in today's society. This multimedia collage flashes hundreds of images and text in a minute. The viewer must be able to interpret these messages quickly, accurately, and effectively in seconds in order to keep up. What does traditional educational psychology say about the arts? Well, Howard Gardner, Elliot Eisner, John Dewey all agreed, and many others, that an artistic endeavor was a highly intellectual process. Even Bloom's taxonomy has revised its hierarchy of learning. It has now placed create at the very top of higher order thinking skills. When Susan Teal conducted a longitudinal study of children and their learning styles, she discovered that during the K-12 school years, children were consistently strong in only two categories, bodily kinesthetic and visual. Students learn better when you work with their strengths. To further emphasize this, the field of neuroscience has determined that 1/4 of the whole human brain is dedicated to visual processing. We cannot ignore it and hope that it grows strong. We must exercise these portions of the brain. Now, we could ignore the science that tells us that we must have art in the schools, but then we would still need to look at how our students are going to be employed in the future. During the George W. Bush presidential years, research was done to determine what sort of jobs our graduated students were seeking. It was determined that 10 out of every 30 students in classrooms across the U.S. found jobs in art-related careers. We have to provide the education necessary to meet these needs. Economic analysts, including Daniel Pink, who was a former speechwriter to President Clinton, have been shouting to everyone who will listen that it is the creative inventiveness that is going to save our nation's economy for the future. We have to reframe our paradigm. We have to recognize that providing just the traditional reading, writing, and arithmetic is short-sighted and is going to keep holding us back. We can't win the mental Olympics with one hemisphere of our brains tied behind our backs. We have to teach to the whole child, to the whole brain. You know, to ensure that no child is left behind, we have to ensure that no hemisphere of the brain is left behind.